Dela writes, my MVVs, welcome. The Great Lion allegedly lost control, stormed the royal mansion. You have been protecting the enemy, your uncle. As in fact, he rode on the jewel. He was so upset. As in, they said they have never seen him this mad with the jewel before. Now, if you follow the story of yesterday that we got, you know that recently, the uncle, the jewel's uncle, who is a pastor in Sydney in Australia, has been advocating for the Great Lion to leave the jewel. I mean, for the jewel, as in for them to separate. He does not want to hear anything. As a matter of fact, it looks like Ebony even knew. Ebony now went to go and provoke the man the more when Ebony went and said she was pregnant, expecting another baby for the Great Lion. And so the man got really upset and started, you know, propagating one narrative and you know, promoting the divorce, doing everything. This is a man that loves the jewel so much and would protect the jewel. So the way the man took it personal, because, you know, if you notice, the jewel's family have been quiet. Everyone has been quiet because they feel like, okay, they have helped the jewel make certain decisions in her life that didn't come right. Because people say that because of that close neatness to the family, that the thing cost her so much. Remember when she was in the palace, the family was there and all of that. So when all of these things happened, they even attributed the failure of her marriage to her family and all of that. And if you notice, the mom has been keeping quiet and keeping her distance from the decision making of the jewel. So when they supported her a great deal. When they went for the full moon ritual, it took time. There was chaos here and there. The jewel's father, that has never been a party to anything before, even had to come out to support that full moon ritual. He carried pots and all of that. Some of the things that the man would never want to do because he is a born-again Christian as well, okay? We may not know he is a pastor in a small church in Akure as well. So what happened is that they kept quiet, and when the Great Lion now, you know, fixed the date for her reindeer ritual, everybody celebrated with her and all of that. But you notice that the uncle continued to push and push and push. They should divorce, that he is ready to come to Nigeria and stay and go around the Yoruba nation to ensure that the Great Lion will remove his hands and do the necessary ritual to separate himself from the jewel and all of that. Now, at that point, he now started sending messages to the Great Lion, telling the Great Lion that if he thinks that he can hold the jewel captive because he is king, it's not going to happen, that he is ready to drop his church agbada and follow the Great Lion up, both traditionally and all of that. And the Great Lion didn't really take it serious. So recently, okay, when this thing happened last weekend, that Fayo, remember Fayo, the jewel's stylist, became very sick, and it happened that it was an attack, and the attack was very gross, like it was a very serious attack and all of that. But even though, to the glory of God, Fayo is getting better and okay, just convalescing very fast right now. Everything was exposed and all of that. That information got to the uncle of the Great Lion. The uncle of the Great Lion started putting fire again, sent a message to the Great Lion that if one strand of hair comes out of the jewel's body, that the Great Lion will pay for the rest of his life and all of that. That now they are warning him to leave the jewel alone, and he will not agree. That he should leave the jewel alone. He should wash his hands off the jewel and leave the jewel alone, and he should marry all his other wives and leave the jewel alone. That he should not be deceived. The jewel is settling back or agreeing to stay with him because she doesn't know what else to do. She does not want to remain single for the rest of her life, because that is what the Great Lion wants to do to her. And you know, she is going back because she doesn't have a choice. Now the jewel is going back because the Great Lion will not agree to give her the divorce that she had asked for and all of that. Sent all of those messages. So when this message this time got to the Great Lion was very mad. Now what is bringing this? the pastor, people claim that the pastor was angry over what they did to Fayo, that is the jewel stylist, that if they could do that to Fayo, they can still do it to the to the jewel, even though the Great Lion has told everyone that the jewel is so fully protected, nothing can come close to her and all of that. So what happened was the Great Lion started investigating. So as he was investigating, they sent, in fact, a very serious investigation happened to a point where the Great Lion realized that this whole drama with the jewel's uncle wanting the jewel to leave has to do with a man that owns the House of Grace, the legacy, the House of Grace in Sydney in Australia, the legacy of Pastor Malaki Nwingi and his son David Nwingi. I don't know, for those of you who are just joining, let me just give you a brief history of what is going on. They said in the heart of Sydney, Australia, stands a spiraling 30-feet seed mega church known as House of Grace International Ministry, a faith empire that has become a household name across Australia, New Zealand, and parts of Africa. The founder, Pastor Malaki Nwingi, is a man whose story could only be described as divine providence, you know, mixed with bold entrepreneurship. Born in Nakuru, Kenya, Malaki was the son of a humble farmer who preached in rural villages with nothing but an old Bible and faith. In his late 20s, he moved to Australia to further his theological studies, but what began as a mission trip turned into a global ministry. Within 25 years, Malaki Nwingi became one of the wealthiest pastors in Southern Hemisphere, combining gospel with philanthropy and strategic business acumen. His investment ranged from real estate portfolio across Melbourne, Perth, and Sydney to Christian media companies, private schools, and a chain of wellness resorts that found his ministry outreach as of 2025, Pastor Malaki Nwingi network worth is estimated at 1.4 billion, Australian dollars. Now, to cut the long story short, I did this yesterday. If you want to know everything concerning this family, go to my video yesterday. Now, this Pastor Malaki Nwingi, has a son called David Nwingi. And David lost his wife. David is 36 years old right now. Lost his wife about 5 years ago. And they have a daughter together. Now, David Nwingi followed Pastor... that is Queen Naomi's. David Nwingi followed the jewel's uncle to London for a retreat or something. And one of those times, the jewel met the uncle in London also. Like, she went for her own business, but the uncle was there. So the jewel now went to go and see the uncle. And that was when the jewel met David Nwingi. The jewel had a speaking engagement in London. David Nwingi was also part of that crusade. So they met there after the crusade or the program. David Nwingi came out, met with the jewel. As the jewel was there speaking, the man just fell hopelessly in love with the jewel. Now, he had met her before with the uncle that evening. And I think the uncle had told David Nwingi everything about the jewel and all of that. Now, David Nwingi, instead of to carry your long throat, knowing that this lady is still married, Nwingi refused though. Nwingi said that is where he wants to buy inside. Now, the uncle now started encouraging Nwingi. Now, David Nwingi said that he will wait and they will fight together to get the jewel out of the hand of, the Great Lion. Now, David Nwingi has made advances and done a whole lot of things. So the entire time, basically, why the Great Lion is angry with the jewel is that when the Great Lion started trying to find out why the jewel's uncle, was so angry with him. Why? At a time like this where everybody is praying for everything to be okay, at a time like this where they all know that the Great Lion has devoted everything to the jewel. The Great Lion has, in fact, Other Oloris are even suffering right now because the Great Lion is not paying attention to them. The Great Lion, everything about the Great Lion is the jewel. Now, why is it that at a time like this is when your uncle will be trying to get you off my life? And do you know the entire time, the jewel did not tell the Great Lion what was going on. The jewel never mentioned the David and Wingy. The jewel never shared anything with the Great Lion. The jewel never even told the Great Lion that she met David in Lagos and all of that. But for me, I don't know for you, Dela Wright, I would say the jewel was trying to protect her husband. Of course, when it's not relevant, it's not important. The jewel never saw David as anything. The jewel never thought it was anything. As far as she's concerned, it's her life. She would not do anything. And so the husband, that is the Great Lion, had to find out all of this by himself. When he found out, hey, they said that was when he stormed the palace. I mean, the royal mansion, and gave the jewel a piece of his heart. The jewel was crying, trying to explain. He was shutting the jewel up. The jewel was crying to say you protected the enemy because you call your enemy your family. You protected the enemy over me. I was going through pains. You didn't say anything. You knew what was going on. Are you ready to go out? Are you ready to go and marry him? And all of that. They said that was how it happened, that the jewel was crying the entire time. Going to bring you more updates. Do not forget that these are all alleged, rumored, unverified information making the rounds on social media and shouldn't be seen as fact.